Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Alissa Sklar. I am the VP of Marketing here at GIS Planning. I am going to be talking to you today about 5 different ways that you can use your online data tools to market your location. Just to give you an overview of some of the things that we're going to be looking at, one is the role of data in place marketing as a whole. We'll be talking about the scavenger hunt. We'll be talking about using data tools for social media content, taking advantage of a free national site selection portal. We'll talk about the metadata, which is really data about your use of data. For those of you in marketing and communications, you will appreciate the need to know more about that. And also we'll talk about mining the value of mobile. So there's essentially 2 kinds of key data in place marketing. The first is the kind that you need to provide businesses that are seeking to make location decisions. And the second is the metadata piece, the information that you get about their searches and needs, and the way in which you can address that through strategy and through marketing is very important. So in terms of the data you give, we know that the vast majority of site selectors and businesses are doing their searches online, and that if they can't find the data that they're looking for on your website, they may just go elsewhere, and you may be losing leads without actually even knowing that you were under consideration. The other thing that is very clear is that data must be relevant, robust, up-to-date, exportable, and easy to analyze. People do not want static PDFs. They want to be able to drill down into the data to get their hands dirty and be able to look for the answers to their specific questions, which you don't always anticipate. So when it comes to data, we want to make sure that you are showing it off. We don't want data to be hidden. We want to make sure that it's there. After all, not much fun if you throw a party and nobody actually comes. And all too often, what we find on economic development and investment promotion attraction websites is that people have wonderful data, but it is often hidden, buried links down, or otherwise unavailable to people who might be very happy to use it. And since I spend hundreds of hours on many different economic development websites in the course of my work, it often feels like a scavenger hunt to find what I'm looking for. That should never be the case. So basic details like contact information can sometimes be very difficult to find. The actual names and contact information of the people that I want to speak to, not general info at email addresses, very difficult, but very challenging often to find the data tools. And we know that every time you require your website visitor to click another link to be able to find things, you are going to have some traffic drop off. You're going to be losing people. So we want to make sure that is never the case. Site placement is absolutely key when it comes to putting your key data online. We want to make sure that it's easy to find and intuitive. After all, you wouldn't buy yourself a beautiful car and then only hide it in the garage. We want to make sure that your data tools, that the ways you actively promote your value proposition are not hidden. They need to be things that are very visible and very clear. After all, you're investing in them. We want to make sure that they're working hard for you. So the same token, you wouldn't want to be hiding the data tools that you have on your website. When it comes to looking for things on website pages, the layering or the requirement that sometimes is made on website visitors to guess where they're supposed to go next should never happen. At very least, you should be blind testing your website. How do you do that? Well, you get someone who's not familiar with your website, you have them come and go onto it and give them a task. It could be something as simple as finding contact information or figuring out data about workforce in this region, learning about a target sector, and then watch what they do in order to find that as they move through your website. If it is something that is ever a question, then that's a problem. So a typical example that I'd come to an economic development website. There might be something that says programs or resources, and then I have to click through to economic and community development because maybe it was a metro or county area website. Then there's another page somewhere in the economic development, learn more about us. Then I'm asked to go through demographic data. Then I click through a final time to actually get to the tool itself. And the truth is that people have very little patience when it comes to anything on the internet. I mean, you probably know that yourself. If it takes more than a few seconds to load, you leave. And that's going to be the case for your website visitors as well. They're not going to put an enormous amount of effort to find things online. So you will notice that sometimes the link is somewhere on the home page, and that really is critical, either in a header or a footer. I always talk about redundancy when it comes to website links. Make sure that it is in multiple places, because you cannot predict what every website visitor is going to be looking for when they come to your page. Maybe the link's on the bottom, maybe it's only text, maybe there isn't any image. Someone who is in an existing business who might be able to benefit from your Zoom Prospector tool or an online GIS data tool that talks about things like consumer spending in addition to sites and buildings, they're not going to click on a link that says available sites and buildings. So make sure that you're using, that you've anticipated what your key personas are, your key target audiences are, and then make a list for each one of them of the keywords or organic search terms that they might use to look for that item on your website. And then make sure that language is used somewhere, because that's a good way to ensure that they're going to be able to find you. This is an example of a heat mapping. It's a different kind of heat map than the kind we usually do. This heat map looks at how people look at a website page. And the red areas are places where eyes spend a lot of time. So in English, we read from left to right. We start at the top. It's no surprise that the top left corner is a really important corner, and that our eyes move then horizontally across. That's where the headers are. And then they'll move down the left-hand side. So when we talk about, again, a different kind of real estate, but still real estate, this is the real estate on your website page, these are key areas that people are going to be looking for things. And think about what that actually might look like on your website. Where are people's eyes going to be spending the most time? So examples on, this is an example of a microsite that we designed. We have a number of different templates. They're turnkey, by which I mean all you need to do is plug in your colors and your pictures, and we put your data tools in, and they're ready to go. They're always based on best practices. We're updating them in the back end without you even having to do anything. So you can anticipate, in this case, the logo, upper left-hand corner. That's really critical. Then the eyes move across horizontally. All of the tools and the important areas are listed there for you. And then you can actually go through and select the geography down from there. Makes it easy, and it really is a way to anticipate with a very clean look what people are going to be looking for on the website. Another example would be to think of posting standalone data tools on pages that people are looking for. So in this case, we've got an example from the state of Delaware is using a demographic, in this case, it's a business intelligence component. And this is something that can be placed on a website page that is talking about the aviation and aerospace industry. This is an important target sector for the state, so they are dedicating a page to it. You've got the copy at the top, which gives you important organic search terms and keywords, a description of the value proposition, and then you have the tool, which is interactive below. So this is a way that you can anticipate drive your value proposition. This is important to them, but then provide the information in findable, indexable, and interactive ways. And these tools make your website sticky. They are things that are going to reduce your bounce rate. They keep people on the page because they're able to go into them interactively and answer their own questions. So that lets you see how that actually might work. Another example here of that kind of clean look is another one of our microsite templates for data tools. Very clean off the top. It is very clear that you can start the search either at the top by clicking that orange button, or you can go down and see the different tools that are available to you. They're very clear, short description, clear button, and you can then move your way through them. So that really is a critical way to start moving people through it. Best practices, let's talk about some of those when it comes to website placement. Are your data tools integrated into your homepage? In other words, can a visitor to your homepage be able to find their way directly to them, or are you expecting them to go through different layers of pages in order to get there? If that's the case, that you're expecting them to go through different layers, you're going to notice that you're not having great traffic levels. Would a first-time visitor quickly find a clear path to your data tools? Another important question. Blind testing is a great way to figure that out. Are the data tools more than one click from the home page? If the answer is yes, you're going to have drop off in traffic, and you're going to see that in your analytics. Is the language that you're using to describe data clear and descriptive? Are you using the kinds of words that your target website personas, are themselves going to be using to be able to search for them? Can your data tools appear on more than one page? Because people don't always click over to demographics. They might click over to something about business or about workforce. So we want to make sure that you can go to them from different pages. Are they above the fold? The fold is that it's one of those terms that held over from legacy media like print. If you had a newspaper folded in half, the top part of the newspaper page that appears when it's folded is prime real estate when it comes to that. And in websites, that means anything that appears on the page without you having to scroll down. It's considered to be above the fold. So that's prime real estate. Want to make sure that your links are there. Are there links to the tools from other pages? So your website visitors don't start necessarily on your homepage. That's the path we always imagine for them. But the truth is that very often they come in because of a search on a demographics page or on another page. So you always want to make sure that there is a clear navigation to the places they might want to go to from there. Is there a clear contact us form on every page? Contact us with an email, telephone number, or a form that they can fill out. I cannot underscore this basic thing that seems so obvious. I can't underscore how critical this is, and yet often difficult. A lot of economic development organizations are not doing a great job making it easy to contact a person at the organization. Can you use your data tools to develop and illustrate different parts of your value proposition? So those tools are available to you and your team internally as well. Use them to generate an image or a picture, to paint that picture, to tell the story of your community and your region and why it might be attractive to businesses that are making location decisions. Export maps, use graphs, use them on social media, put them in your proposals, put them in your trade show collateral, and take advantage of them in that way so that people are able to use them. So let's talk about social media content. We're going to make sure that you are taking advantage of the wealth of content that is in your smart data tools. You could be building strong relationships with your community stakeholders, so the people within your community, existing businesses, elected officials, everyone through public works and tourism, who will also benefit from the wealth of information in your online data tools. One of our clients was doing a presentation to healthcare industry providers within their region. So she went into the data tool and she did an analysis around all the major medical centers, hospitals, and major clinics in the area, was able to do drive time analyses, look at demographics, projected demographic changes, all sorts of information that the healthcare industry workers who are looking to fine-tune their offerings were then able to use. So this is certainly about investment attraction is always our prime goal, but it's certainly about so much more than that as well. So ways you can use this for social media: posting a featured fact of the day on any of the social tools that you're using, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Those things are very important. There's all sorts of ways that you can actually be taking advantage of that. Some examples here: Facts and Figures, the Business Development Board of Palm Beach, using their Zoom Prospector tool to be able to promote that online. Another example here from Wisconsin, promoting a sector, in this case food and beverage, using LinkedIn to be able to do that. Other examples, again, from LinkedIn, looking at target sectors, in this case, advanced manufacturing for the state of Pennsylvania. Another example from Pennsylvania here, demographics. So images you've got here, but also links back to the site. That's always the goal, right, is to be able to send people back to your website. So don't forget to post those links. That's really critical. To make sure that that is the desired action. They're going to be able to do that. You can have a featured business of the day. If there's an emerging cluster of businesses in a growing industry in your area, you can certainly show that. It's a great example from Georgia EMC, and what they've done here is for all of their important target industries, they've generated profiles They've taken the business intelligence component that we offer and they've customized it so it will load to show off the placement of companies within that particular target sector. So in this case, aerospace. But the tool is still fully interactive and dynamic. You can go in and do whatever you want. But on a page dedicated to the aerospace industry in this region, it's a beautiful way to show at a glance. You can click on any one of the dots on that map and it will show you the name of that company, and you can do all sorts of analysis around that specific company if that's of interest to you. Other types of social media content related to demographics, certainly important. If you have a segment in the population that has grown, you can use graphs and charts to do that. If you go in and click on the lines, or in some cases the dots next to a chart or a graph, it allows you to download it. On the infographic blocks, you are able to click on the three dots again and download these very attractive graphics that can be used in different kinds of ways as well. This year, we've been hearing a lot about federal opportunity zones. We know that they're in every state in the United States. If you are a U.S. economic developer and you want to show off the federal opportunity zones in your region, great way to do that using your data in social posts. In this case, we have the city of Stockton in California is using our mapping intelligence component to show off the opportunity zones in their area. So immediately, it's so visual. At a glance, we can see exactly where they are. That tells a story in a way that text often can't, because you can immediately grasp what that looks like. In this case, this is the state of Connecticut's opportunity zone viewer, dedicated opportunity zone viewer. You can see the properties that are in each one of the different zones in a particular search, and that's something that can be shared online as well. Now, the data tools that you've got on your website are a really fantastic source of interesting content. So as I've said, they really are helping you tell the story of your community. So you can tell the story about a particular business, spin that into a story is another great way to do that. And you can use your LinkedIn page when it comes to social media, especially if time is of the essence. I know sometimes social media can feel a little bit like you're going down a rabbit hole. So if you don't have too many resources or you're worried about where you're to dedicate your time and energy, I always consider LinkedIn, because that is definitely going to be the place you want to fish where the fish are. That is the place where we know people are doing business and searching for information. Consider starting a group for businesses and CRE professionals in your community, in your region. It's a nice way for you to be able to moderate that, let them post information about themselves, crowdsource questions. And of course, you can also be using LinkedIn company profile page for your economic development organization if you are not already. And both the group and the page itself are appropriate places for posting facts, maps, charts, businesses of the day, properties of the week, whatever it is that you would like to do. Properties of the week is a really nice way to do that. Every property report in your Sites and Buildings database has a dedicated link, so you can alternate that, have a property of the day, property of the week, and just continue scrolling through everything that is available in your community. There's an example that Pittsburgh Regional Alliance has their own dedicated group for members in their network. And it's just a great way for a conversation to happen related to economic development, whether it's business retention and expansion, workforce development, tax incentives, market intelligence, investment attraction, all important things. Now, the community profile infographic, the community profile is either available as a standalone intelligence component that can be put on any page in your website, and you can also find these infographics in the community search part of your Zoom Prospect or Enterprise tool. So you can get these key data points in these beautiful interactive infographics. Within the infographic themselves, it is possible to share directly to social. You can also generate a link, send it through email, and it's just a really nice way to be able to do that. If you click on the dedicated social link within the tool itself, this is an example of where it gives you a chance to share an update. You can choose a group, you can put it on your own profile, however you choose to do that. But just makes it very, very easy to do that. In this case, when I actually shared it, this is what it ended up looking like when I was at the group level, what that post looked like. So quite attractive way to be able to do that. And then you can get some really interesting analytics from the social posts if you've got a company page, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, that tells you more information about impressions, interactions, engagement levels, and clicks. So you're able to track the return on the time you put into that. Now, if you're going to be posting images and video, remember that they are not able to track that information through Google. Google doesn't track image and video. It does track image to some extent, but that's not often the way people are searching for things. So you want to make sure there is a keyword optimized description with the URL back to your tools and your website for every post in order to improve search rankings and traffic. So if you post a video, make sure you have a couple lines of text with keywords in there. If you're putting out an image, make sure you also have the text or images in there. An example here from Pure Michigan. So we see that they've uploaded a video, but there's also a description below with a link back to the website. So important. You always have to think about what is the desired action behind these posts, and almost always it's going to be to drive them back to your website or to a landing page. Shareability is easy. Look for export or share links. You'll also see a share link at the top left over there on the data tools. It's really something to look for. Other examples of videos that are posted with a text description underneath, just so that you can see how other academic development organizations have done that. Now, another way to make sure that your data is helping you mark your location is to take advantage of the free National Site Selection Portal. There's one in the US. Other countries is still pending, but in the US this is still available. And whether or not you know it, there is over 1,000 data points available on every community in the United States. So that everything is searchable right from the get-go. An example of being able to go in and do multi-variable searches. These are things that businesses are able to do. They know they have a number of criteria to choose locations. They can go in there and enter them, and it will give them a list of communities that match those criteria. You can actually rank them by the top, rank them by the fewest according to the different variables that you've chosen. So you get these very lovely maps. Also very shareable. We've built shareability directly into the tool, so you can go from there to a ranked search, the top 10 communities based on computer and mathematical occupations, and you can search that, share that ranking directly to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, email, or generate a link, and you can put it in a proposal, a blog post, whatever you're looking at. Now, within this free site selection portal for the US, you can create economic development profiles. These function literally as microsites because there is room for text description in there, as you can see, links back to your website, links back to your social pages, and contact information. There's a contact form as well. So someone who's doing keyword searches or searching for things, if those keywords are in the About section on your profile, it's another way for businesses and site selectors to be able to find your community. And it has these data infographics built into the profiles as well. So at a glance, you can get all sorts of information about a community, all of which is shareable online in these different data blocks. So let's talk about how you can use data, the actionable intelligence, the metadata, the data about your data. So there's 3 different ways that you can learn valuable information about what your prospects, your website visitors, are doing online. So the first one will be pretty obvious to most of you if you've spent time in marketing, is Google Analytics. That is free on every single website. You should never, ever have to pay for access to Google Analytics. And then it gives you information about website visitor behavior, about how you acquire those visitors, how they find your website, and basically what website visitors are doing on your web page. You don't know who they are. You can break them down by country or by language or by the source, the referral source, whether they came in from LinkedIn or email campaigns. But that doesn't tell you that much more, that doesn't get that much more granular. The second layer of analytics is specific to economic development, and that is built into all of GIS Planning's data tools. We can get some information. Specifically, in this case, this is for Zoom Prospector. We have analytics built in there. And that will give you specific information about property and community searches. Still, you don't know who these people are, but it starts to tell you where they're what kinds of searches there were. You'll be able to see if there was a lot of people searching for warehouses, for example, or industrial facilities or retail. And based on that information, you'll be able to put together a strategy for your organization. You'll be able to see what communities tend to be most searched, what properties are most often viewed. The third vital layer of economic development data that you wanted to, that you'd really want to have access to, is something that we've built into all of our tools. We call it Lead Gen ID, and this uses reverse IP lookup to reveal exactly which companies are searching on your website, but also what their search criteria is. And we use Lead Forensics reverse IP lookup technology to do this, but we've, in partnership with them, coded it further. So not only do you see that they visited your page, but we can start telling you exactly what it is that they're looking for. And this is really, really critical. This is an example of what the dashboard might look like. You can track visits, you can see devices. There's all sorts of ways to tweak this for you, but at a glance, how they found you, what keywords they used to come in. And this is an example of an actual report. So in this case, HR and Associates, they supply real estate to McDonald's, fast food company, and we know that they visited a particular website page. You get a little bit of information about the company itself. We get their geographic coordinates. So if there are multiple offices for HR and Associates, you will know which one was the one that visited your website page. You get a little bit of a thumbnail from their website. You get company detail that pulls metadata, meta descriptions from their websites. You can then assign this information to a particular team member. Maybe you have someone in charge of fast food or franchises or another target sector, so they'll get notifications. And then you can go down into the report itself. And this is where we get to see some really interesting information about the parameters of their searches. What size are they looking for? What property type, in this case office, are they looking for something that's for sale? Is it industrial? Then we see specific which property reports they looked at. You can click over there so you can actually go and visit that one property report and you can actually see it. It just gives you a lot of information. Before I talk about mobile, I just want to reassure you that with reverse IP lookup using Lead Gen ID, I know which company visited the website, but I don't know who from that company was there. In other words, I could see that GIS Planning has been on my website, but I wouldn't know that it was Alissa from GIS Planning. And that's really important because I know sometimes people find there's a creepiness factor with this. You don't see what other websites this person is visiting. You know nothing more than what they are actually doing on your website. And what do you do with this information? Well, you certainly can use it strategically because it's a way to track the results of marketing efforts on your side, but you can also take a customer service tack with it. So what we usually recommend, if you notice a company has been on your website multiple times, is looking at specific properties, is to contact the company. Again, you don't know for sure if you're going to be reaching the person who was doing searches and say, hello, I'm calling from GIS Planning. I noticed that someone from your company has been searching for industrial facilities in our community. Wanted to see if you found everything you were looking for. Can I offer any assistance or any additional information? And that customer service approach tends to be welcomed 99.9% of the time. All right, so a couple words about making use of mobile. We know that when we look at our hundreds of client sites, that somewhere between 30 to 50% of website traffic is coming in on mobile devices. We want to make sure that the website itself, but also, of course, the online data tools need to be mobile friendly so that you're not losing leads. We know that the way that Google search algorithm uses, it definitely hurts websites that are not mobile friendly. They are definitely going to be hurt in searches that they tend to be preferred. And all of the GIS planning data tools are mobile friendly and fully featured. So that is true of the National Site Selection Portal. It's true of our Zoom Prospector Enterprise Sites and Buildings GIS location analysis tool. And it's true of our intelligence components as well. So a little bit of a checklist for you when it comes to online data. Are your data tools easy to find from your EDO homepage? Are you posting facts, maps, excuse me, and or businesses of the day on your social feeds? Are you actively promoting your data tools as part of your suite of services? Are you using the valuable demographic, labor force, business, and industry data in your marketing outreach, whether that is online, whether it's on social, whether it's in trade show collateral? Want to make sure that you've got a kind of a multiple approaches to be able to use the different tools in your toolkit. Now, if you have some ideas to share on how your community or organization has used online data tools for place marketing, we would love to hear about them. If you would like to discuss some of the ways that you can broaden your approaches, please feel free to check out our blog at blog.gisplanning.com. Always lots of ideas and tips and tricks over there. We try and keep things very, very practical, updates, of course, on our products. And you can always reach out to me if possible, if you want to know more, if you want to know more about the tools themselves, if you have questions about how you might be able to be using this more effectively. If you have any questions, I just wanted to point your attention one more time. Feel free to take a look at the questions panel on the right-hand side of your screen in the GoToWebinar control panel. Put your questions in there. I'm very happy to address them now or to answer them if you would like to email directly. That's possible as well. So someone has asked me how you manage the amount of time that's used on social media for promotion. Kind of more of a general question. I know, as I said earlier, social media can really be a huge time suck. And so what I usually recommend to clients, especially when time resources are small, is that you dedicate 15 minutes at the beginning of your day. You can even set a timer. Go in there and spend 15 minutes, take a look at what has been said, mentions about your company or industry. Very important to be able to track those. And also take it's an opportunity to post something as well. When you're posting, so you can use obviously the many different things that we were talking about here, things from your data tools itself, so maps, charts, graphs, facts, businesses of the day, properties of the day, all of those things can be posted as well. But the goal generally should be to drive them back to your website, to a specific page, to a landing page. If you have an upcoming event, then that would be information to share there as well. So really to be as much as possible very goal directed about that. And then when the timer goes off and your 15 minutes are done, unless someone has just come in with a question, you do want to make sure that you address that. The danger is to open a social account and then let it languish, not touch it for months at a time. I think that's actually worse than not having it in the first place. And if you're going to pick just one social tool that you're going to use because you don't have a lot of time, then I always encourage people to go forward with LinkedIn, because that seems to, from what we've seen over the years, the largest number of qualified leads come in through LinkedIn posts. Doesn't mean the other ones aren't useful. Facebook tends to be very useful for your existing business community. We know they're spending the time there as well. Be a good place to have a group for your existing businesses. But otherwise, I know that LinkedIn really is the most quality information that you've got. Question about whether the lead generation tool is available to Zoom prospectors subscribers. Lead gen is built into every single full edition Zoom Prospector Enterprise tool. So if you're a full edition Zoom Prospector Enterprise customer, you should have access to Lead Gen ID. If you do not, then I encourage you to get in touch with me at the email address listed on the screen. I can also reach out to you because I see your name on the screen. And make sure that you are able to use it for your organization. I don't see any other questions at the moment, and I'm mindful of the time. I know how busy you all are, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. So if you do have any additional questions, please send them to me by email. I thank you very, very much for taking time to join us for this half an hour. And I will be sending you an email follow-up with some contact information and a link to the video within the next day. Thank you again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.